I'll take a few moments now to just set up the event. Business Days at the Capitol 2018 happens to be our 18th annual event. So of course that means we started in 2001. In 1999 and prior to that time, it was called the Chamber Day, when many of the local chambers would come to meet the Montana Chamber and legislatures at the start of the session. We thank the local chambers for their continued participation. In 2002, we started holding it as an annual event, reinforcing that business issues don't only arise during the legislature every 2 years. Now, Business Days has grown to be the largest business advocacy event of the year and the largest gathering of legislators outside of the session. It also doesn't hurt that tomorrow morning is the opening of the campaign season for filing for office, so a lot of people will be in town for that. Still, it's the business people of Montana who show up and convince us to put it on again next year. Business Days wouldn't be possible without the many sponsors of this event. Since there are so many, I'll direct you to the program in front to the scrolling slideshow. Thanks to all of our sponsors. I'd like to recognize some specific folks now. Many of the board of directors of the Chamber of Commerce and the Montana Chamber Foundation are here. They met yesterday, last night, and this morning to continue their important oversight of these organizations. I also want to recognize the staff of the Montana Chamber of Commerce. You've got good people working for you. Finally, Business Days is also a time to recognize and support our High School Business Challenge program. At the banquet tonight, you'll be able to bid on a number of silent auction items that support scholarships we provide. Thanks to the generosity of Alaska Airlines and Delta Airlines, we have airline tickets to raffle, $20 each or 6 for $100. So you can check with any chamber staff and or at the registration desk to get your winning ticket. Now as we enjoy our meal, we have a video from our congressional delegation, and I'll be back up shortly.
Greetings from the U.S. Senate. I want to thank Webb Brown and Greg Thayer for their continued work to help Montana's businesses thrive. I want the folks in this room to be the first to know that this year I have joined the U.S. Senate Commerce Committee. This is a great opportunity to provide Montanans with a seat at the table on the committee that has jurisdiction over transportation, business, interstate commerce, and telecommunications. I am proud to take on this new responsibility, and I will fight to make sure that Montana's economy will always be front and center. As we turn the calendar to a new year, it is critically important that we work together to address the challenges that face our state's businesses, and that we do so head on. As I visit face-to-face with folks across Montana, small business owners tell me about the challenges they face when trying to access capital to start or grow their operations. A decade ago, there were 72 chartered banks in Montana. Today, there are only 49. Small and medium-sized banks continue to be swallowed up by the big guys, and that is partly due to the burdensome and expensive regulations. If these local lenders go away, our rural communities and our rural businesses will dry up. And that is why I've authored legislation with the Republican chairman of the Senate Banking Committee, Mike Crapo, to cut regulation and red tape for Montana's community banks and credit unions. My bill will ensure that they can spur economic growth by lending to our small businesses, farmers, ranchers, and home buyers. Businesses have also told me that there aren't enough workers to meet the growing demand of high-skilled jobs in our state. During my blue-collar jobs tour, I received feedback from workers, educators, and employers on policies that will help build a stronger pipeline of educated workers from our high schools, unions, apprenticeships, and trade schools straight to the workforce. And over the next year, I will need your help making sure that we're properly training Montanans to meet the growing number of these good-paying jobs in our state. Montana's businesses should be able to find high-quality workers right here in Montana. Last fall, I talked to many of you about the need to lower the cost of health care and stabilize Montana's health insurance marketplace. The administration's decision to end cost-sharing reduction payments will force health insurance rates to rise. Businesses need certainty. Without these payments, businesses have no certainty about the cost of health insurance. I will continue to partner with folks on both sides of the aisle to pass legislation which ensure these payments continue and brings more stability to the market. We can't play politics with health care, and we must provide small businesses with the certainty that they need to thrive. And finally, as Congress begins writing a major infrastructure plan, I will fight tooth and nail to make sure that Montana's priorities are included. And I need to hear from you, so please contact my office with your community's infrastructure priorities. Rebuilding roads and bridges, upgrading sewer and broadband infrastructure, we can create new opportunities for Montana businesses to grow and succeed. I will fight to get this bill done. Thank you again for inviting me to share a few words. It is truly an honor to serve you in the United States Senate. Please have a safe and happy New Year.
Well, welcome to Helena for the 18th Annual Business Days at the Capitol. I want to thank the Chamber for hosting Business Days at the Capitol to promote productive dialogue about how we can work together to help make Montana businesses and Montana manufacturers stronger. 2017 was a busy year. The Montana High Tech Job Summit was just a few months ago, and it was a huge success thanks to your partnership. And in 2017, we closed out the year by passing historic tax cuts for hardworking Montanans. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act will keep over $700 million a year that was headed to Washington, D.C., but instead it'll be kept in the pockets of Montanans. And as a businessman who spent 28 years working in the private sector myself, I know this achievement speaks volumes to everyone across our state from all walks of life. It lowers tax rates. It nearly doubles the standard deduction. It repeals the onerous Obamacare individual mandate, and it doubles the tax credit for kids and helps make American businesses more competitive around the world. I also fought hard to increase the deduction for so-called pass-through businesses to reduce the marginal tax rates so that Main Street businesses have more opportunities. Passing this legislation and getting it signed into law was a great way to end 2017. And as we move now into 2018, my door remains open to you. Facilitating strong business networks across our state is critical as we all work hard to advance Montana businesses. And Webb, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to say a few words. And to all of you, please stay in touch with me by calling any one of my offices across Montana or my office in Washington, D.C.
Hello, Greg Gianforte here. I appreciate the opportunity to check in with you, and I'm grateful for the support and leadership that the Montana Chamber provides our businesses and communities. I am honored to serve as your lone voice in the U.S. House of Representatives. It's a responsibility I take very seriously. America is special. Opportunity is woven into our nation's fabric. Regardless of background, we have the opportunity to earn a decent living, raise a family, own a home, contribute to our communities, and retire comfortably. To get there, we work hard, persevere, and take personal responsibility. That's the American dream. Opportunity is a cornerstone of our country. But many have felt the American dream is slipping out of reach. Too often, a bloated, burdensome federal government stands in the way. Unnecessary regulations, reckless spending, and high taxes stifle opportunity and restrict our outstanding potential. As your representative in the House, I'm proud to protect our way of life and the American dream from federal overreach. I'm committed to working so that Montanans in every corner of our state have access to opportunities to realize the full promise of the American dream. One way we have worked to unleash opportunity is to reform our tax code, cut taxes for hardworking Montanans, and provide needed relief for Montana businesses. Montanans at every income level will see their tax rates cut. They'll be able to keep more of what they've earned, and soon they'll see bigger paychecks. Tax reform will also bring relief to Montana businesses, our innovators and job creators. It provides a new 20% tax deduction that applies to joint income earned by pass-through businesses organized as an S Corp, partnerships, LLCs, and sole proprietorships. Tax reform provides for full business expensing of capital investments, spurring new investments in equipment, machinery, and buildings to jumpstart our stagnant economy. Tax reform will open the doors of opportunity for Montanans by growing our sluggish economy, creating jobs, and increasing wages. I encourage you to reach out to me. I'm eager to hear how you think we can eliminate other federal barriers that hold Montanans back from achieving the American dream. Please call my office or send me a note from my website at gianforte.house.gov. My door is always open to serve. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me or my staff for anything. Thank you, and God bless, and have a very prosperous 2018.
Before I begin, I would like to make just a brief disclaimer that this product is gluten-free and no animals were harmed in the making of this talk. So I quickly recognize my wife, Kathy Brown. Thank you for being here. And another shout out to the staff of the Montana Chamber of Commerce. They do a great job working for you overall. Happy New Year and welcome to Business Days at the Capitol in 2018. If you'll remember back at this time in 2017, we'd already wrapped up Business Days at the Capitol and the first week of the 2017 legislative session. So Montana had an eventful 2017 from 2 legislative sessions to a historic and horrific fire season. And we pause to remember and honor the firefighters who lost their lives defending us, and rest in peace. In 2017, our U.S. Representative Ryan Zinke became U.S. Secretary of the Interior. Greg Gianforte became our new U.S. Representative. We set records for tourism visitation, before the fires, of course, but suffered monetary losses in agriculture and natural resources. But, like Lewis and Clark in the Corps of Discovery, we proceeded on. Today, the business community has reason to be optimistic, given some recent achievements and unfinished business looking ahead. As you well know, unless you've been completely out of touch, the Montana Chamber of Commerce has launched Envision 2026, our 10-year strategic plan for Montana's future. Over 50 investors pledged more than $1 million to implement the plan. You can look for them in the program, in the slideshow, the standees, and if you're not on the list of investors, please contact me. Envision 2026 is guided by 4 primary goals, using key metrics to guide and measure our progress. We will improve the Treasure State relative to other states in gross state product growth, 2-year job growth, and per capita income, both the levels and growth of per capita income. We're accomplishing this by focusing on 4 objectives: workforce, entrepreneurship, business, and infrastructure. It's no coincidence, and has been pointed out on occasion, that these 4 initials, WEBI, also spell out the Webby Plan. So I'm happy to lend my name to the effort. Workforce could possibly be the most important issue we face in 2018. The most common sign we see in storefronts around the state is not open or closed, it's help wanted. That's why tomorrow's program is our Workforce Symposium, 2 panels and a luncheon speaker. We'll continue connecting educators, employers, and workforce training professionals. The results will yield a better pipeline for future workers. And that's not to say that we're not on the right track today. More than 1,400 Montana jobs were added over the final quarter in 2017, and Montana's unemployment rate now stands at 4%. While the sheer numbers of workers is important, another major factor of workforce development is to emphasize and enhance needed job skills. We find that competencies, certificates, and apprenticeships matter more to many employers than some college degrees. That's why we pushed for and passed an apprenticeship tax credit during the 2017 legislative session. While it's limited, we're hoping and we're seeing that employers are using this valuable tool. That doesn't mean that we don't need college degrees. To the contrary, we are seeing higher ed incorporating career success and job placement as a much greater role in their mission. We applaud that and support that. And the Montana Chamber is already supporting renewal of the 6 mil levy that funds educational support for nearly 40,000 Montana college students. We encourage you to support it as well on the November 2018 ballot. In fact, we feel so strongly about that vote that we asked Bob Nystuen of Glacier Bank and the Montana Board of Regents to address that during the Last Word closing luncheon tomorrow. Entrepreneurship remains a bright spot in Montana, even if not so shiny in 2017. The annual ranking of states by the Kauffman Foundation, where we have dominated the top spot for the past 3 years, actually showed a decline last year to the number 4 spot. Now, granted, it was by a tiny margin behind the top 3, but our competitive nature requires us to try to get back to number 1. Our entrepreneurship grant and our Make Montana Home campaign will wrap up in 2018 to ensure that we achieve that goal. And join us this afternoon to hear experts on this issue give their perspective as well. Of course, if we improve Montana's business climate, that will help entrepreneurs and every other business as well. And that is slowly but surely happening. The regular legislative session this past year, saw victory in the tax arena, HR, justice, and resource development. 2017 created promising momentum. It's our responsibility in 2018 to sustain and accelerate that. Taxes were the talk of Helena before the regular session and then intensified in the aftermath of the November special session. The Montana Chamber played its part this spring by advancing state tax reform in the legislature, while at the same time preventing job-killing individual and corporate tax hikes. Success in stopping anti-business legislation is sometimes as important as passing pro-business legislation. The necessity of the special session to address fiscal shortfalls begs a larger question. Is Montana's current tax structure best for the new economy? In 2017, the Montana Chamber undertook a major tax analysis of our state. The State Tax Research Institute is conducting this research to answer that question in 2018. As the first significant study in a decade or more, we eagerly anticipate this research about our fiscal well-being. However, even with full employment and a good economy, cuts were necessary in that session. Spending must be controlled as well. That's what you told us in our Business Base or B-Base poll recently, and we will work on controlling spending as best we can. The legal climate is a critical component of business climate. Our Montana Justice Coalition is very active in legal reform. In fact, one of our cases went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court last year and was decided in our favor, fortunately. That case and other activities of the coalition impacted one of the metrics we use to measure our success in Envision 2026. The Institute for Legal Reform of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce ranks the fairness of state court systems. In the 2012 analysis, Montana ranked 45th worst in the nation. In 2015, we had risen to 34th. The Institute announced at the end of 2017 that we had gone all the way up to number 27. While this indicates significant progress, we're still striving for a top 10 spot for that ranking. The Montana Justice Coalition is often the only group to lead advocacy efforts in favor of responsible legal reform, a role that we're happy to play. However, we're thrilled to be joined now. We have David Bell, President and CEO of the Alps Corporation, serving as the new coalition chair. He replaces the outgoing chair and equally enthusiastic Ed Bartlett. We appreciate the leadership of these individuals to improve Montana's legal climate. So if we could have David and Ed stand up, and let's thank those folks for their work. Of course, the 2017 confirmation of Judge Neil Gorsuch to the U.S. Supreme Court was big for Montana business and all of America. We advocated for his nomination because of his well-established record as a mainstream judge who upholds the rule of law and doesn't legislate from the bench. That approach indicates stability to the businesses and public that operate within our court system. The final objective of Envision 2026 deals with infrastructure. I know that was a big topic of conversation from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce President CEO Tom Donahue this morning on the state of American business. Infrastructure is a big deal. Our Montana Infrastructure Coalition helped pass the Bridge and Road Safety and Accountability Act this last spring. The increased revenue, focus on safety, and accountability in this legislation will pave the way, no pun intended, well, a little pun intended, for much needed improvements in not only our infrastructure, but the overall economy as well. HB 473 was another historic success in 2017. However, just like in Vision 2026, our work in infrastructure funding is far from over. In 2018 and beyond, the Coalition will continue to promote greater investment, including at the federal level. Our advocacy will be highlighted tomorrow with our panel on infrastructure. As part of that promotion, watch for major activity around National Infrastructure Week, May 14th through the 21st of this coming year. And join us throughout 2018 as we research and advocate for bonding, P3s, and other tools to address our most pressing infrastructure needs. The work we do to maintain an optimal business climate does not revolve solely around the legislature, however. Businesses don't operate for only 90 days every 2 years. So, in addition to our tax study, we're working on other efforts outside the legislative arena. One of my personal initiatives, ever since my days in the logging business, is workplace safety. Unfortunately, too many workers in Montana suffer at too high a cost. These workers are our friends and family. As employers, we can, we must, and we will do better to send everyone home at the end of the day as good or better than they showed up. Changing our safety culture for the better requires initiative. Mike Marsh, president of Midland Claims, is the voice of that initiative now as director of WorkSafe Montana. You'll hear from Mike later this afternoon about our exciting plans to bring momentum to this program. We look forward to partnering with him in this worthy endeavor and ask you to partner with us in 2018. We also ask you to partner with us in another business initiative, the Montana Manufacturing Association. A subsidiary of the Montana Chamber of Commerce, its mission is to promote manufacturing in Montana through advocacy, benefits, and networking. The Manufacturing Association recently welcomed new board chair Kevin Pullen, director of Boeing Helena. We're excited about the expertise he brings, and we thank Brian Wood for his leadership of the organization over the past 2 years and for making Montana's manufacturing sector the fastest growing in the nation. Tough act to follow, Kevin. So we could have both of those folks. Let's thank them as well. Because of the Manufacturing Association, I'm honored to serve as a member of the National Association of Manufacturers Board of Directors. And I can tell you that big things are happening. The latest NAM Manufacturers Outlook survey recorded a record level of manufacturer optimism. An overwhelming 94% of respondents say they feel positive about their company's outlook, a dramatic increase from 64% the prior year. What's driving this optimism? In large part, it's purely the change of administration. Examples include the EPA's rolling back of the Clean Power Plan and the Waters of the U.S. rules, two major wins for Montana businesses. Another reason is the recently passed federal tax reform package. As you heard Senator Daines say, in 2018, nearly $800 million will stay in the pockets of Montana residents to recirculate into the economy, and the new law encourages business investment in our state. We've seen numerous businesses talk about what they will be doing with that tax relief. Everything from bonuses to charitable contributions to business investment. Tell us your story, what you plan to do with relief. We want to know and we want to tell others. The result of that change in administration and attitude towards business highlights another opportunity in 2018, another election cycle. And Vision 2026 references the need to have the right people in the right place at the right time. I urge you to engage in the election process by supporting pro-business candidates, contributing to PACs that share our priorities, or even by running for office yourself. You know, lots of folks have encouraged me to run for president. That was mom. For governor, so that I could play in the Governor's Cup. And then for dog catcher, that's my board actually saying, find another job. So I'm proud and excited to be here today to announce that I am running from office, not for office. Scared you, didn't I, Kathy? However, when Montana gets that second congressional seat after the next census, I'm donating money to the campaign of Bridger Malum. Anybody have change for a 20? Seriously. Well, okay, how can I be serious when I'm wearing an Elvis tie? It's Elvis week at our household, so. Seriously, we can talk about making a difference, or we can do something about it. Election season is that first step. With the right plan and the right people, Montana businesses, again, should be optimistic for the future. One of the things we do with our Foundation and Chamber Board is have what we call the Big Sky Roundup, where every director from around the state and every industry talks a little bit about what their business is, what their geography is, what their hot issue of the day is. We had that dinner last night and had some great recap, I think, from that. Tammy Christensen from Sydney, Tri-County Implement, told us that they're seeing an uptick in oil activity again in the Bakken area. And after the recent cold snap on the East Coast, and even here now, I think a lot of folks aren't quite ready to give up on old reliable coal as much as they were in the past. Tourism and outdoor recreation should see a good year in 2018 with gas prices stable and good snowpack already this winter. Montana can capitalize on our wild and free environment just as we capitalize on our wild and free economy. Agriculture may take longer to come back out of the doldrums, especially wheat prices. Senator Daines' work to open the Chinese market to beef really paid off. And let's work to get a farm bill passed in 2018 that benefits Montana. Even though John Tester, very happy to hear the announcement that he is now on the Commerce Committee. We congratulate him on that. Even though he's typically associated more with agriculture, we know he'll be working along those lines as well. We do see a resurgence in construction, both residential and commercial, especially in many parts of the state, led by the Gallatin. We're also seeing technology companies popping up like crazy, almost as fast as breweries. Maybe there's some connection. So here's hoping for a good old 3+% growth in 2018. We'll see how my predictions hold up when the Bureau of Business and Economic Research rolls out its Economic Outlook series in a couple of weeks. And then when we do our own economic update series in August. I conclude my remarks with a quote by the late former Governor Judy Martz, who we dearly miss. Certainly, we have our share of challenges and tough decisions, but with the resiliency of our ancestors firmly ingrained in the fabric of our way of life, we will work with fervent and determined spirit to chart a new course that capitalizes on the resources of our scenic landscapes while simultaneously preparing our young people to lead us in the age of information. These words come directly from her 2001 inaugural address, and her message resonates today as much as it did 17 years ago. We are all responsible for our own success and to help others achieve theirs. We're all in this together. Your success is our success. Our success is your success. Together, we can create a greater Montana in 2018 and beyond. Thank you very much for your time and attention, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Webb. Let's hope the predictions of better times ahead are right on the mark. Now let me run through the rest of our agenda for the next few days. We'll take a short break now, and we'll reconvene at 1:30 for our first panel on workers' compensation. Following that will be a second panel on infrastructure. Then after another break, we'll have our final panel on entrepreneurship. We'll conclude at 5 p.m. And then we'll start the traditional lawmaker appreciation reception and banquet at 6 p.m. over at the Helena Civic Center. This will also be the start of the Business and Industry Showcase, our partnership with the Treasure State Resource Association. The evening promises to be fun with the High School Business Challenge auction and raffle. Did I mention you can get your raffle tickets today? Tomorrow morning we'll be back here for the Great Northern at 7:30 with our Eggs and Issues breakfast with the legislative leadership. Following that, we'll have our Workforce Symposium, 2 panels addressing the critical issues, followed by the Last Word Luncheon with our keynote, Bob Nystuen, at noon. If you have any questions or comments, please contact any of the staff here. Thank you for coming, and keep up the good work.